Hey, thanks for coming by, Tori Magoo 44. Today is March 31st. Tomorrow is April 1st. So make sure you do some fun things on April Fool's Day. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a thank you and a heads up to CNN. I greatly appreciate you doing this show on violence in Scientology. And to all the people speaking out, fantastic. I mean, it's amazing to watch, and to see. Like, I loved the first night when the wives came on, and they were just so filled with hostility and creepiness. You know what I mean? It's like, I think on the second night, Jeff Hawkins' wife, Jeff Hawkins said about his wife that, he said some nice things about her. And the wife came back with like, wow, nasty stuff. I mean, that's what Scientology is. They asked, that was the other guy, Norman Starkey, the overt speaks loudly. Now that's an interesting point. The overt being a bad deed, right? Something that you've done that isn't good. Now Scientology pushes that all the time. You are committing an overt, right? You did something wrong. If you start saying anything negative, it's because you have overts behind you. But let's look at that. In reality, Norman Starkey, why is it that your group can slime myself, Jerry Armstrong, Arnie Lerma, Anonymous, a million people, all the critics around the world? You can lie and say absolutely false things about us and natter about us all the time, but the overt doesn't speak loudly there, right? Because there's something, you don't have that connection, do you? You guys can say anything you want, and that's okay. But if we say anything negative, it's because we have bad deeds behind them. It doesn't go that way, Norman. It's either both sides or nothing. So which is it? Because you guys natter about us all the time. Natter being negative chatter. And they are constantly pumping negative stuff I'll just speak about myself. You are always, but all the guys on CNN, you've said, they're liars, they're apostates. Give us a break. How many people, I sat with an ex-Scientology, ex-Sea Org member watching CNN, who's a friend of mine. And she said, she's been out for years. And she said, how many people have to speak out and tell the truth about these people before people get it, really get it. I mean, let's look at it. It's like, how many people are you going to say they're liars, Tommy? You're going to just keep saying it? They're liars. They're liars. It's not true. They're liars. I'm a liar? Am I a liar? You won't even come over and talk to me. You're too chicken to do it. Because if you do, all you can do is say, I'm a liar, right? But I can tell you my life, my story, what happened. I'm willing to talk to you. I'm willing to talk to anybody in the Sea Org, Scientologists. But are they willing to talk to us? No. That's why that lady jumped in the first night. She wouldn't let the wife answer because the wife was kind of being kind to Marty and started to say something, I think, that they didn't want heard. And so the handler jumped in, who wasn't the wife. She was the handler. And she jumped in and told Anderson how rude he was, which was brilliant. I mean, that's really going for it, Scientology. Call the guy that's doing the interviews on you rude. Yeah, that really worked. That really worked. And I love the thing about sending the letter from the attorneys. Let's do that. We'll get the letter from the attorneys. So it's kind of fun to just watch Scientology digging in a little bit more and a little bit more. That is one thing I learned since I left Scientology. I was in 30 years. I was a person who did kind of try to help on the PR lines for years. But it's amazing. I remember being in and saying, why do you people do these things? Because they would come out and yell at the critics, what are your overts? What are your crimes? And I would say, that's so stupid. You're only going to keep people fighting you when you do stuff like that. And I would go out and talk to them, and quite often people would leave. And I'd come back and they'd say, what did you do? What did you do? And I just talked to them. They're people, right? But they don't have that concept that they're people that can be critical of Scientology. That cannot happen. That's against the policy. L. Ron Hubbard said, with fair game, you can lie, cheat, steal, destroy someone utterly. That is the policy of L. Ron Hubbard. He wrote a little cancellation, but at the bottom of the cancellation it says this does not apply to suppressive persons. And anybody out there speaking out against Scientology is declared a suppressive person. If you're new on this, which I know new people are all the time, there is an SP declared. That's what it looks like. They put it on goldenrod. They don't laminate it. I did, because I knew I'd be showing it to you guys a lot. And yeah, I am going to keep showing it. For the people that don't want to see it, okay, you've already seen it. But some people are new every day, and I think they need to see that Scientology does not only declare someone suppressive, they put it on goldenrod, they send it around. It is a high crime to speak to a person who is declared suppressive. That's why they say, well, why didn't you speak out sooner? You can't when you're in a cult. It's a high crime to say any of these things. It's a high crime to go legal. It's a high crime to go talk to a judge or an attorney or anything, unless they're a Scientology attorney and you're doing an arbitration. That's it. So it's a very tricky thing. It's very insidious. It is part of the cult. And it is a very key thing that everybody needs to understand watching CNN, is that you, by the nature of a cult, and certainly in Scientology, are not allowed to go public, to tell anybody, even to talk amongst each other about something negative. If you do, you're off to ethics. You're put in a lower condition. For those SEAR guys, they're sent to their prison camp, which is the RPF, the Rehabilitation Project Force, where they have to do hard labor and quote-unquote co-audit each other, basically getting it together. Some of them are on there for years and years and years. I mean, it's a nightmare. It really is. So it's a very tricky thing when you're in a cult, and that's why I say Scientology is not a religion. It is a cult. If you study cults and what is a cult, Scientology fits it completely. And I recommend you Google cults. I'm going to put up a link from New Zealand, what is a cult. They really go over cults and give some excellent information on it. Also, some key factors to watch out for as far as anywhere in the world with Scientology. These are some of their entry points. Stress test, free stress test. That's a way to get you in. Come on over to Celebrity Center. We'll have lunch. If you're a business person, WISE, the World Institute of Scientology Enterprises, they're always sifting, trying to find the person with the money, who's an opening that'll come in and get onto the bridge to total freedom. Applied scholastics in the schools, check your schools. If they're using them, that's L. Ron Hubbard. It's under the, they report uplines their statistics to the Church of Scientology, the people that run it. Narconon. It's a drug rehabilitation. They weaseled into the schools here in California. We got them kicked out, but they're probably still in a lot of schools. So check that out. Narconon drug education, right? Which again is based on the Church of Scientology, and per America, church and state cannot be in the, they have to have a division. So they can't have that in there, or all churches can be in there. Apply Way to Happiness, which is their booklet I've showed you guys before, where they basically, go in and, here's the way to happiness. Look how happy that looks. Oh, it's so cheery. This is their old way to happiness. They tried to pick it up a little bit, I guess. But I did find out they don't really mention Hubbard on the front. You can see it. But way on his little print in here, there's somewhere where they mention L. Ron Hubbard. That's based on the works of L. Ron Hubbard. So they kind of try to downplay it. Way to Happiness is a thing to safeguard the area so that then when Scientology comes in, people can say, well, Dr. Smith is for L. Ron Hubbard, so I guess it's okay. Because they go to Dr. Smith and get him to pay for the Way to Happiness. Thousands and thousands of dollars, which is free in the, the 10 Commandments are free. You know what I mean? There's a ton of things that are free that are similar to Way to Happiness. So we've got Applied Scholastics, Narconon, Criminon, Way to Happiness, WISE, the stress tests. All of these things are entry points into Scientology, plus a ton of others. You can always ask any business, do you use the Hubbard management technology? Because they won't say they're Scientologists often, but they will say that. And if they are, they're Scientologists. And if they are definitely going to try to get you into the Church of Scientology, because that's where the money is. I mean, they'll try to get your money for your business. It's a huge scam. Google it, okay? So anyway, my great thanks to CNN for everything you've done. Please, for everybody, read the links on New Zealand, what is a cult, because cults are pretty generic and pretty similar all around the world. And knowledge is power. So learn both sides. For anybody in who is thinking, I don't know, I can't decide, look at both sides. Learn both sides. And I will tell you this, it isn't just David Miscavige. David Miscavige was raised by L. Ron Hubbard. He was trained by L. Ron Hubbard. And L. Ron Hubbard did a lot of abusive things to people, including throwing them all overboard on the ships, locking up a little kid in the, in the bottom of a ship, just horrific things. The medical abuse that I fought for 30 years was designed by L. Ron Hubbard, who was popping pills, I found out after I left, all the time they were trying to tell me I shouldn't be taking medication. The amount of people that have died in the Church of Scientology based on L. Ron Hubbard's policies, way too young, is enormous. So please look at both sides, read both sides, find out the facts, all right? And thank you, CNN, for everything you're doing. And Tommy Davis, you rock on, man. You are just doing a great job, once again, as always, for our side. And Davey Boy, I told you this before, tick-tock, tick-tock, time is on our side. So you take care, everybody. I love you. Bye-bye.